They say the gods never die, they simply change form. Among them was Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, the scribe of the heavens, the keeper of secrets, the one who measured time itself. He wasn't worshipped for his power, but for his understanding. Because while other gods fought for immortality, Thoth understood what made humans mortal. He discovered something humanity was never meant to know, a secret method of eternal youth, buried within the laws of nature and the rhythm of the universe. Not the kind that keeps your skin smooth or your hair dark, but the kind that keeps your soul young, your energy boundless, your presence eternal. You see, every civilization has chased immortality. From emperors who bathed in gold to scientists injecting themselves with stem cells, humanity has always wanted to escape death. But Thoth looked deeper. He realized that aging isn't a physical process, it's a spiritual malfunction. Your body doesn't grow old because time passes. It grows old because your mind forgets the frequency of eternity. The moment you become disconnected from divine rhythm, when you start living in fear, stress, and chaos, your body begins to decay. Thoth didn't chase youth, he vibrated with it. He lived in harmony with a universal current so pure, so stable, that decay couldn't touch him. His body became an extension of cosmic order, a vessel of light immune to the erosion of time. This is the forbidden method of eternal youth, a practice so powerful, so misunderstood, that it was hidden away for thousands of years. Not because it was evil, but because it demanded something humans no longer possess, inner stillness. Most people think eternal youth is about doing more exercise, more diets, more supplements. But Thoth taught the opposite. To live eternally, you must learn how to do less. You must become empty enough for eternity to move through you. And that's why 99% of people aren't ready for this. Because the path to eternal youth isn't a fight against death, it's a surrender to timelessness. It's not about preserving your body, it's about remembering your divinity. In this video, we'll uncover Thoth's ancient forbidden formula for immortality, a 5-step code that awakens the ageless intelligence within your cells, silences the noise that causes decay, and connects you back to the divine rhythm of the universe. So before you continue, take a breath, let the world go quiet for just a moment, because what you're about to hear may forever change the way you see time, life, and yourself. Chapter 1. The Secret of Cellular Silence. They tell you aging is natural, that it's written in your DNA, that your body simply wears out. But Thoth knew that was a lie. He understood that decay begins long before wrinkles appear. It starts in your mind. Your body doesn't break down because time is cruel. It breaks down because your thoughts are. Every worry, every burst of anger, every suppressed emotion sends invisible ripples through your cells. Vibrations of chaos that scramble the rhythm of life inside you. You can't see it, but your body feels it. Every sleepless night, every anxious thought, every time you replay the past or fear the future, you age yourself from the inside out. Thoth called this inner turbulence, the noise of mortality, and he taught that the only way to reverse it is to silence it. This is the first stage of his forbidden method, the practice he called cellular silence. It's not meditation, it's not relaxation, it's the art of absolute inner stillness. A state where the body, mind, and breath merge into one timeless pulse. When you achieve true silence, your cells begin to listen again. They remember their divine origin, the cosmic rhythm they were born from. In that silence, regeneration begins. You stop decaying and start rebuilding. Thoth wrote, "The soul that ceases to vibrate with chaos begins to echo with eternity." Modern science, thousands of years later, is finally catching up. They call it cellular coherence, when your heart, brain, and nervous system align perfectly, reducing inflammation, balancing hormones, and triggering deep repair. It's the biological translation of what Thoth already knew. Stillness heals. Think of your body as an instrument. Every emotion is a note, every thought a vibration. When the instrument is untuned, when fear, noise, and distraction fill your mind, the music of life becomes distorted. But when you tune your inner frequencies to silence, you create harmony. And harmony is what stops decay. Thoth's disciples practiced this through what he called the empty hour. Once a day they would sit in complete stillness. No sound, no motion, no breath control, simply presence. They imagined their body dissolving into light, their mind becoming as still as the desert before sunrise. Within that emptiness, they claimed to hear the pulse of the universe, a low hum, like distant thunder beneath the skin. And when they emerged, their faces glowed, their eyes were brighter, their breath was slower, deeper, their bodies felt lighter, as if gravity itself respected their peace. Because silence isn't the absence of life, it's the origin of it. Every heartbeat, every breath, every act of creation begins in stillness. When you return to that origin, you reclaim your original blueprint. You return to the code your soul was written in, the state before fear, before decay, before time. Thoth believed that within every human lies a silent sun, a center of pure light that never ages, but we drown it with mental chatter, endless stimulation, and emotional storms. We've forgotten how to listen to it. To awaken that inner sun, Thoth taught this simple, powerful ritual. Find a quiet place at dawn. Sit with your spine straight, eyes closed. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe deeply 3 times, not to control the breath, but to feel it. Then, stop. Just listen. Listen until the silence becomes sound, until the air itself feels alive around you, until your thoughts dissolve into something vast and peaceful. At first, your mind will resist. It will scream for stimulation, for distraction. That's the noise leaving your system. Keep listening, because beyond that noise lies something few ever experience, a silence that isn't empty, but infinite. That's the gateway. When you touch that silence, you've entered the same frequency Thoth lived in, the rhythm of eternal life. And once you've felt it, you'll never age the same way again, because your cells no longer obey time, they obey harmony. Chapter 2. The Breath of Immortality. In the ancient temples of Kem, what we now call Egypt, the disciples of Thoth would rise before the sun. They'd stand barefoot on the cold stone floors, facing east, their eyes half closed. They weren't praying, they weren't chanting, they were breathing. To them, breath wasn't mere oxygen, it was divine intelligence in motion. Each inhale drew in fragments of creation, and each exhale released the weight of mortality. Thoth called it the atom of Ra, the breath of the sun. He taught that to master the breath is to master time itself, because time, as Thoth revealed, is only felt through breath. When your breathing is rushed, time feels short. When your breathing is calm, time expands. And when you master breath completely, time stops. That is the first step toward immortality. Modern people breathe like they live, shallow, frantic, and distracted. Their breath never reaches the depths of their being. It stays trapped in the chest, bouncing between anxiety and exhaustion. But Thoth taught that the divine breath lives deeper, much deeper, in the belly, where the soul meets the body. He said, the gods dwell not in the sky, but in the space between your breaths. And he meant that literally. When you inhale consciously, the energy you draw in, what ancient mystics called prana, or sekhem, flows through your meridians, cleansing your nervous system, feeding your organs, and revitalizing your spirit. When you exhale, you purge the energy of decay, the emotions, toxins, and stagnant vibrations that age the body. Thoth's formula was precise. Inhale for 7 counts, awaken the crown of your head. Imagine drawing in liquid gold light from above, filling your brain, your eyes, your mind. Hold for 7 counts, guide the light down your spine. Feel it illuminate every nerve, every organ, every forgotten cell. Exhale for 7 counts. Release the weight of your fears, your regrets, your illusions. Let decay leave with the breath. He insisted this be done at dawn, when the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon. He called this moment the hour of rebirth, because the morning air, rich with solar energy, carries what he called the memory of creation. To breathe that consciously is to absorb the very intelligence that designed your body. Science is only now discovering this truth in fragments. That slow rhythmic breathing rewires the brain, heals the heart, and activates the parasympathetic system, the state of deep restoration. When you breathe with awareness, your heart rate stabilizes, your cortisol drops, and your body enters a state of repair. Every system begins to regenerate, every cell listens. But Thoth didn't do it for health, he did it for transcendence. He understood that breath is the bridge between matter and spirit, the invisible cord connecting your physical form to the infinite. He said, "The breath is the chariot of the soul. If you command the chariot, you command the journey. When you breathe shallowly, your soul is trapped, tied to anxiety, fear, and illusion. But when you breathe deeply, consciously, the soul expands. It remembers what it is, light wearing flesh. The more you practice, the lighter you become. People will say your energy feels different, calm, magnetic, ageless. That's because you've begun to reprogram your frequency. Your body stops operating in human time and starts aligning with cosmic rhythm." Thoth's disciples were said to radiate warmth, even in cold air. Their eyes glowed faintly in darkness. Their touch felt electric. Because they weren't just breathing, they were conducting divine energy through every inhale and exhale. He warned, however, that this practice must never be rushed or forced. Breath must flow like water, not like wind in a storm. If done with ego, it can exhaust the body. If done with reverence, it awakens eternity within it. Thoth's teaching was not about quantity of breaths, but quality. He said the average human breathes 20,000 times a day without awareness, but even one conscious breath can change your entire state of being, because in that one breath, you remember. You remember that life itself is borrowing air from eternity. You remember that you are not a body that breathes, you are the breath that became a body. To practice the breath of immortality is to stop chasing time and start dancing with it. Every inhale pulls you closer to creation. Every exhale dissolves your mortality. And when breath, mind and awareness move as one, you enter the still rhythm of the gods themselves. That's the rhythm Thoth lived in, the rhythm that kept him untouched by time, and that same rhythm is already within you, waiting to be remembered. Chapter 3. The Elixir of Light. The alchemists of old spent lifetimes chasing a myth, the elixir of immortality. They melted gold, mixed mercury, boiled herbs, and whispered incantations, all searching for that one substance that could cheat death. But Thoth watched from the silence of eternity and smiled. "The elixir," he said, "is not drunk, it is summoned." He knew that the true fountain of youth doesn't flow from a cup. It flows from the sun. Not the physical sun we see with our eyes, but the hidden sun within, the solar spirit, the light of Ra that dwells in every cell, waiting to be awakened. Every human being carries this light. It's the current that animates us, the spark behind our eyes, the warmth in our heartbeat. But most people live disconnected from it, buried under stress, fear, and desire, like clouds hiding the eternal sun. The body then forgets its luminous nature. It becomes heavy, tired, and mortal. Thoth called this inner radiance, the solar stream, a living current of divine intelligence that flows through all things. He taught that the key to eternal youth is not to consume external elixirs, but to activate this inner stream until it begins to circulate through every cell of the body. When that happens, he said, the flesh becomes light, and light becomes flesh. His disciples would rise at dawn, walk barefoot onto the sand, and lift their palms to the rising sun. They didn't worship it, they communed with it. They would close their eyes and visualize golden light entering through the crown of the head, traveling down the spine, filling every organ, every cell, every atom. They imagined their skin drinking sunlight. This practice was not poetic, it was practical. Modern science now confirms what Thoth already knew. Sunlight triggers the body to produce serotonin, nitric oxide, and vitamin D, all of which regulate DNA repair, energy metabolism, and mitochondrial health. To Thoth, these were not chemicals. They were symbols of divine harmony, physical proof that light is medicine. He said, man does not age by years, but by distance from the sun within. Every moment you spend disconnected from that inner light, your body dims, your energy weakens, you start to move slower, think duller, and lose your sense of wonder. But when you reconnect, when you let the solar stream flow through you, every system reignites, your blood vibrates with warmth, your breath deepens, your eyes sharpen, your energy becomes magnetic. People won't understand it, they'll just feel it. They'll say you have a glow, a calm, a strange youthfulness that doesn't fade with time. That's not cosmetic beauty, that's frequency. Thoth's students practiced what he called the invocation of light. It went like this: Face east at dawn. As the first rays of sunlight appear, raise your hands to the sky with palms open. Inhale deeply as you visualize light entering through your crown. Hold your breath and feel the light travel down to your heart, glowing brighter with each heartbeat. Exhale slowly and imagine that light expanding outward, radiating from your chest into the world around you. Whisper the words, "I am the vessel of the living sun." He claimed that those who practiced this consistently for 40 days would notice transformation, not just physically, but spiritually. They would feel a merging between their soul and the energy of creation itself. They would no longer wake up tired, no longer feel drained by time or people, because their source of energy no longer came from food or sleep, it came from light. To Thoth, sunlight was not worship, it was remembrance. The body, he said, is a solar device. Every cell contains photoreceptors that feed on light. Your skin isn't just protection, it's an antenna. Your DNA doesn't just code life, it reflects light. He described the process in metaphor. When the heart is pure, the body becomes transparent, and light flows freely through it. The man of light walks unseen by death, for he is already part of eternity. And that, Thoth warned, is the part 99% of people will never understand. They'll chase eternal youth through surgeries, pills, and endless fear of aging, while the true elixir waits quietly in their own being, untouched. Because you can't summon the light of eternity from a place of vanity, you can only summon it from a place of alignment. Those who seek immortality, for the sake of ego, only burn faster in the fires of decay, but those who seek it out of reverence, to live in harmony with the divine rhythm, find that the universe itself sustains them. If you truly wish to awaken this elixir of light, Thoth said, you must live as if you already are light. You must speak gently, move consciously, and think with clarity. You must purify what you consume, not just with your mouth, but with your mind. Feed your soul with truth, your heart with gratitude, and your body with sunlight. For every thought of love strengthens the solar stream. Every breath of awareness expands it. Every act of kindness amplifies it. And when that stream becomes strong enough, it no longer depends on external energy. You begin to generate your own, endlessly. That is the moment you become self-sustaining. That is the moment you become ageless. Thoth didn't leave behind temples of gold or monuments of power. He left behind instructions, quiet, hidden, and eternal. Let light be your food, silence your drink, and wisdom your breath. Then death shall find nothing left to take. Chapter 4. The Forbidden Truth About Death. Death. The one word humanity fears more than any other. It's the shadow behind every wrinkle, the cold echo behind every birthday, the silent fear driving every desperate attempt to cling to youth. But to Thoth, death wasn't an ending, it was a mirror. He said, "What you call death is not destruction, it is the proof that you have forgotten your eternity." Thoth didn't try to escape death, he understood it, and through that understanding, he dissolved its power. He saw that the body doesn't truly die, it simply follows the mind. When the mind identifies too deeply with the flesh, when it forgets its divine nature, the body obeys that illusion and decays. The real death, Thoth said, happens long before the body stops breathing. It happens the moment you begin to believe you are separate from the source, when you start living as a fragment instead of a spark of the infinite. That belief is the seed of mortality. Thoth taught that every cell in the human body is designed to live far longer than it does. Science even supports this. Our cells can replicate perfectly for decades before they begin to decline. So why do they stop? Because the consciousness that animates them forgets. He explained that when your awareness sinks into fear, anger, or constant mental noise, your energy becomes dense. That density clogs the pathways of life force energy, the solar stream, the breath of Ra, until the body can no longer maintain its divine vibration. The body then begins to mirror the confusion of the soul. In simple terms, your cells decay because your spirit is exhausted. You age because your consciousness has been trapped in chaos. Death, therefore, is not a punishment, it's a release. A reset button for the souls that have forgotten their rhythm. The ones who lost their alignment must dissolve to begin again. But Thoth discovered something profound. something forbidden to speak of in the old temples. If the soul remembers its divine nature while still in the body, it can bypass death altogether, not by denying it, but by transcending it. He said, "He who knows himself as eternal may walk among the dying and yet remain untouched." This truth terrified the priests and kings of his time, because if people truly understood it, they could no longer be controlled through fear. The threat of death loses all power over a soul that remembers its immortality, and a fearless soul cannot be enslaved. That's why Thoth's teachings were buried, his symbols distorted, and his words called heresy. For millennia, humanity has been conditioned to run from death, to see it as an enemy. But the moment you stop running, the moment you turn and face it, you realize death was never chasing you. It was following you, waiting patiently to guide you home. Thoth described death as a veil of frequency, a thin film separating the dense world of matter from the luminous realm of spirit. When you dissolve fear, the veil disappears. You stop existing as a body walking toward death, and start existing as consciousness flowing through eternity. That's why Thoth could cross dimensions, not as myth, but as principle. He mastered the art of dying while alive. He died to illusion, he died to fear, he died to the lie of time, and in doing so he became deathless. He taught his disciples a practice called the death meditation, performed under the moonlight, a ritual not of fear, but of liberation. They would lie flat on their backs, hands on their hearts, and visualize their body dissolving into light. They would imagine every breath carrying them closer to infinity, until they no longer felt where their body ended and the night began. When they opened their eyes, the world felt different. Colors were sharper, sounds deeper, time slower. They had crossed the line and returned, not as mortals, but as beings aware of eternity flowing through them. The purpose of this practice wasn't to escape life, it was to enhance it. Because once you realize that death cannot touch you, you start to live with a kind of fearlessness the world can't understand. You no longer waste your energy chasing safety, approval, or permanence. You stop clinging to what will fade and start nurturing what will endure. And in that shift, you begin to glow. You start aging backward, not because you're cheating biology, but because you're obeying spirit. Your cells, freed from fear, vibrate again with life. Your energy, no longer tied to anxiety, returns to purity. Your face softens, your eyes brighten, because you've stopped fighting the inevitable and started becoming it. That's the forbidden truth about death. It's not your enemy, it's your reflection. When you fear it, it devours you. When you understand it, it bows to you. Thoth said, "To conquer death, do not flee from it. Enter it willingly, with a heart still and a soul awake. There you will find not the end, but the beginning." Most will never understand this. They'll continue to fight time, inject their fears into their flesh, and run endlessly from the mirror. But those who walk the path of stillness, who breathe consciously, who absorb light, who remember their divine nature, will discover what Thoth already knew. You don't need to defeat death, you simply need to stop pretending you're not eternal. Chapter 5. The Fifth Seal. The Mirror of the Gods. They say the final illusion is the self. Not the body, not the face, not the name, but the voice inside your head that says, "I am." Thoth called this illusion the fifth seal. He warned that even those who master stillness, breath, rhythm, and energy still fall to the last trap, the illusion of identity. Because as long as you think of yourself as a someone trying to live forever, you remain bound to the clock. You age because you believe you are a person, not a soul. Thoth wrote, "The man who clings to his reflection decays with it. The one who sees through it becomes the reflection of eternity." Think of a mirror. You stand before it and you see yourself. The lines, the imperfections, the story time wrote on your skin. But that image isn't you. It's only light bouncing off form. Your body is not your essence. Your thoughts are not your soul. Your history is not your truth. You are the one watching, and what watches never ages. Thoth's disciples called this the mirror practice. It was the final stage of his forbidden method, a ritual both terrifying and liberating. They would sit in front of a still pool of water at sunrise, the surface like glass. Then they would gaze, not at the reflection, but through it. They breathed softly, eyes unblinking, until their reflection began to waver, until they no longer recognized the person staring back, until the boundaries between face and water dissolved, and what emerged from the depths was not a reflection, but awareness itself. They said in that moment, time stopped, not in the poetic sense, literally. The breath slowed until it felt eternal. The mind became a mirror reflecting only light. The soul recognized itself, infinite, radiant, untouched by decay. Because the final key to eternal youth is not to preserve your body, but to transcend your identity. Once you no longer identify with the mortal shell, the body follows the soul's command. It begins to mimic the timelessness of the spirit that inhabits it, and your energy, your true self, starts rebuilding the body according to that divine pattern. Thoth called this becoming the image of the gods, not gods of religion, but of consciousness, entities who exist beyond birth and death, because they remember what they are. Awareness experiencing form, he said, when you remember the eternal within you, the body obeys eternity. And that's the secret no one is ready for, because it doesn't flatter the ego, it kills it. It demands you let go of every title, every label, every mask. You must look in the mirror and say, this is not me, this is my instrument. Most people can't do it. They fear disappearing. They fear the unknown that lies beyond the reflection. But that's where Thoth lived, beyond the mirror, beyond illusion, in the still field, where time has no dominion. Those who practiced this ritual long enough reported something strange. Their faces looked younger, not because of vanity, but because of vibration. Their skin glowed with the stillness of water. Their eyes carried a calm that made others shiver, as if they'd seen eternity, because they had. In the mirror of the gods, you don't fight time, you cease to exist within it. And when you no longer exist within time, how can you age? That's Thoth's final truth. Eternal youth isn't about defying nature, it's about remembering that you are nature. You're not trapped in this body, you're playing through it. And when the player remembers the game is divine, every cell rejoices. The body becomes an echo of the infinite, and you become light wearing flesh. The secret humanity was never supposed to know. Most people spend their entire lives chasing immortality in the wrong direction. They rub creams, swallow pills, freeze their skin, run from death. But the more they fight time, the faster it catches them. Thoth understood something far deeper, something so powerful that it was hidden, buried, and nearly erased from every record that followed him. He realized that eternal youth is not something you gain, it's something you stop losing. You don't become immortal by adding more to yourself, you become immortal by shedding what's false. The world taught you to age. It taught you to live in constant noise, to keep thinking, reacting, consuming, comparing. It taught you to chase youth externally while decaying internally. But Thoth's method reverses that. He didn't promise you the body of a god, he offered you the awareness of one. Because the truth is, your body was never the prison, your mind was. And when you silence it, control your breath, align with the rhythm, awaken your energy, and see through the mirror, the prison doors dissolve. You realize there was never a clock ticking against you. There was only the illusion of time inside your thoughts. False disciples who walked this path didn't chase youth, they radiated it. They didn't fight aging, they simply stopped agreeing with it. And when you stop agreeing with limitation, the body listens, because your cells aren't bound to years, they're bound to belief. He wrote, "Man fears death because he believes he is flesh. The wise man smiles at death, for he knows he is light." That was Thoth's heresy, and humanity wasn't ready for it. Because if every human realized that their true self can't decay, the systems of fear, control, and dependence would crumble. Entire empires were built on the idea that life ends, that time owns you, that you must hurry, suffer, and obey before your candle burns out. But Thoth's method burned no candles. It revealed the sun within, the light that never fades. The same light that lived in every sage, every prophet, every enlightened being who refused to bow to time. And that's why his teachings were called forbidden. Because they grant power that can't be sold, contained, or controlled. Power that doesn't belong to temples, priests, or kings. It belongs only to those brave enough to face silence, to breathe consciously, to move with rhythm, to awaken energy, to look into the mirror and no longer see a person but a divine flame. That is Thoth's true gift. Not eternal youth of the skin, but eternal presence of the soul, a consciousness so awake, so vibrant, that time itself pauses to listen. So if you've come this far, you're already not like the rest. Most people will scroll away, go back to noise, and forget. But you've heard it, and once you've heard truth, you can't unhear it. Maybe that's what Thoth meant when he said, "The awakened one does not seek to live forever. He simply lives so deeply that eternity begins to flow through him." Remember this: every breath you take in awareness restores your connection to the eternal. Every moment you choose silence over noise, truth over illusion, stillness over reaction, you rejuvenate not just the body, but the soul itself. You don't have to live forever to become timeless. You just have to remember who you are.